Hello, today we are going to discuss about distance vector routing protocol. The protocol which are used to route the packet in the network. In this distance vector routing protocol, it uses the hop metric counts to route the packet in the network. So in this we learn about the routing information protocol RIP and about how RIP works and RIP version 1 and RIP version 2. So let's first start with what is RIP, that is routing information protocol. So it is the first routing protocol which was designed to route the packet in the network. So RIP use UDP port 520 to exchange information of routing in the network. Note that RIP use hop count as the metric. It means it count the intermediate device between the source and destination. So RIP has the maximum hop count of 15. It means it only send the packet to source from source to destination if it have only 15 intermediate devices between them. So RIP version 1 router send routing table after every 30 seconds, means every router in RIP version 1 sends its routing table, or if there is updation or not, it sends the routing table in the network after every 30 seconds. So this causes a serious problem of network overloading in large network. Next is hold down timing is 180 seconds. That is the router wait for updation in routing table for 180 seconds. It means the router wait for 180 seconds to get the updation from the different routers. If any router fails to give the updation in 180 seconds, then that router will be discarded in the network. Then is the drawback of RIP. So the first drawback is RIP doesn't see bandwidth of a link or congestion in the network. It's only considered minimum hop count. It means if there are two routes, one with the less hop but more bandwidth, and another with more hops but less bandwidth, but RIP goes with the link having less hop count. It means it doesn't see the bandwidth of the link. Next is same way, if there is a link having less hop but there is a traffic on that link, and another link is free but have the more hop count. In this case also the RIP goes with the link having the less hop count. So it means it only consider the minimum hop count and not consider any bandwidth or the congestion in the link. Next drawback is load balancing is also a drawback, means it doesn't route the traffic between the network. So this is also a drawback. Next is how RIP works. So when a router starts, means when a new router is added in the network, when it starts, it's make routing table according to directly connected segments. The devices which are directly connected to the routers make the routing table according to that network segments. So then the router broadcasts the routing table information to all the router in the network. Then it broadcasts that routing table to all the routers in the network. Now in router start receiving and processing the update. So in this way the router obtain routes to all network segment as they receives the update periodically. So in this way all router knows the route to reach every device in the network. So in this way the RIP works. So finally the network converges after all routers get the update routing table of each routers. This diagram shows how RIP works. So as shown in the diagram, there are three routers R1, R2 and R3. These three routers have their own IP addresses and the network addresses. So as R1 have a interface A and R2 have the interface B and C, and R3 have an interface of D. So first of all, these three routing table make the routing these three routers make the routing table according to the directly connected devices. So as the routing table of R2 knows about the IP address of itself and the network addresses, that 10.0.0.0 and 11.0.0.0. Same way the R1 knows the IP address of itself and the network interface or the network IP, that is 10.0.0.0. Same way the R3 also know the IP address of itself and the network address or the interface address. After that, when it's make the routing table of the directly connected devices, after that it starts sharing the routing tables between the network. So first of all, the R2 R2 sends the routing, R1 and R3 sends the routing table to R2. So from that, the router R2 gets the knowledge about the IP address of R1 and R3, and it updates its routing table. So now see the routing table of R2. It contains the IP address of R1 and R2. After that, R2 sends its routing table to R1 and R3, from where the R1 gets the knowledge about the IP address of R2 and R3 and the network interface, that is 11.0.0.0. Same way, when R3 gets the routing table from R2, it's gets the knowledge about the IP address of R1 and R2 and the network interface, that is 10.0.0.0. So in this way, the they shares the routing table with each other, and after that every router get the information of the route, then the RIP works well in the network. So in this way the RIP works. Next is the distance vector routing protocol. The two type of RIP version 1 and RIP version 2. So in RIP version 1, it doesn't support VLSM and CADR, means it doesn't support the classless addressing. Then RIP version 2, it supports the classless addressing, means it supports VLSM and CIDR concepts. Next is RIP version 1 doesn't support authentication, whereas RIP version 2 support plain text authentication and MD5 authentication. MD5 is Message Digest Algorithm 5. Whereas in RIP version 1, packets are transmitted in broadcast mode, and in RIP version 2, packets are transmitted using broadcast and the multicast mode. So this is all about distance vector routing protocol. Thank you.